The views and opinions expressed by John and DJ do not reflect those of any intelligent or rational human being and are solely the property of the Brightside Chat.
This show is a proud member of the Nerdy Legion Podcast Network. Get more at nerdylegion.com. Enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Bright Side and issue number 186. Is that right?
It's not 286, so...
186.
You're emphasizing the wrong number.
I know.
It's definitely 1.
I got lost there for a second. I got too many things going on right now. Oh, see, going out on a high note, John. Going out on a high note.
That's right.
186. I can't wait till we get to 200. How shy are we of our 300th episode is coming up too? So that's proof positive right there that we're definitely not going away, because I have that goal in mind. I am not letting that go past us. So rest easy, everybody.
We have different goals, but I guess we'll see.
Oh, no. Oh, all right. We'll elaborate more on that. And we have a ton of breaking news today.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you like my sarcasm?
Sure,
but
we do.
We have plenty to talk about, though. So let's hurry up and get into the store. All right, John?
All right. Yep.
Oh, the sweet sounds of the chime. How we doing, John?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing okay. Very, very busy. Lots going on. Pushing buttons, clicking clicks, doing all sorts of things over here.
There you go.
Oh, how's the store going?
No change, really. It's the same.
No. Oh, no. No change.
If you listened last week, it's the same.
Right. And listen last week. The week before was really good. Before that, same. So.
But that was the outlier. It's been pretty rough for a little while. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things will turn around. Hopefully something will change.
Well, I hope they turn around before November. So.
I know.
Otherwise, it's going to be a hard signing my name on that dotted line again.
Right.
So.
I know. Yeah. I'm sure we'll get to that more and more as we get closer. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah. That's tough. All right. Let's open the show on that nice high note right there.
Yeah, right.
Oh, but we do have some good high notes for the show today, too. Very excited to get to... Yeah, I mean, are you excited to talk Obi-Wan? I
am.
I mean, we're going to do Kryptonite. Full spoilers.
Oh, we are?
Oh, why not?
Well, we didn't do it last week. We just spoiled right in the show. So I figured
let's go out with some Kryptonite. We'll do some Kryptonite.
Just continue that trend this week.
Yeah, full on. And we also, this isn't comic book related, but this is definitely something I would say walking into your store. John, have you seen ELVIS yet?
I did. Yes.
I know.
I did see it.
And it's, I am so excited. I just found out you saw it as well. You said you might see it. I saw it. I
was going to see it.
I know
regardless.
you were.
I just wasn't sure if I was going to get to see it Sunday, but time worked out. You know, the timing worked out for us, and so we did go.
All right. You want to put that at the top of the show, some spoiler-free ELVIS? And then we'll talk some spoilers later. Not this. Actually, you know what? Let's do it all right now. It's like seeing the Titanic. You know the story.
Well, yeah, I was going to say.
I was like, what spoilers?
Not much to spoil.
Right. Let's go.
Well, it's fantastic. Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, I really liked it. This kid, you say kid, but, Austin Butler, who played Elvis, I mean, was unbelievable. Just completely lost himself in the role.
Oh, my God.
And, looked like him, sounded like him, moved like him. Although I say sounded like him, I don't know if he sung anything or, I'm not quite sure if.
Oh, we've done Jen and I have done deep dives. We've got the soundtrack now. We're listening to it.
Oh, all right.
I highly recommend grabbing that. It's on. We have it on iTunes, and it can go right into the all the different scenes, like, you know, the rehearsal scenes towards the end there, and he's telling the band what to do and stuff. That's on the soundtrack. So you get to hear, and it's like being at the movie again and listening to that. And then, you know, you looking for trouble? And that, I mean, you just get the chills all over again. I mean, that scene alone, oh my God, John.
Yeah.
That
like
was,
it was, I expected to like it because I had heard good things about it, but I guess I would liked it even more than I thought I would. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoyed it. Lydia as well. She liked it quite a bit too. And, you know, we were like, I'm not going to say we're the biggest Elvis fans on the planet, you know, but I mean, I've always liked Elvis. You know, my father liked him. My grandmother had a picture of him hanging in her living room, you know, growing
right
up.
next to Jesus.
I mean, right next to Jesus and John F. Kennedy.
Exactly. So, yeah. My
literally, there was a picture of all three of them in the house.
That's fantastic.
So,
yep.
They you know, we're fans. And so I always grew up listening to his music. If you pull up any of my playlists on Apple Music, you know, you're going to find some of his songs dotted through there. So, so we were fans, but like I said, I'm not going to say we were like the biggest fans in the world. And most of this stuff, you know, we were very young when he died, and, you know, so we weren't paying attention to the events of his life, really. You know, that was kind of before our time.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, I knew some of those things, and some of them I didn't really know. And, you know, Tom Hanks as well. Like, I can't say he did a spot on Colonel Tom Parker because I wouldn't know, but it's Tom Hanks. So I'm assuming he did his due diligence and probably was pretty close. The one I wasn't like, I didn't think they did a great job with Priscilla.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a little
it could have just been it could have just been anybody, really.
Right.
Like, again, I wouldn't say like I'm very familiar with Priscilla Presley as far as like what she sounds like and all that stuff. I've seen her in the Naked Gun movies or whatever, but you know, not really a huge fan. But I didn't think the actress had very much resemblance to her. But
she was a lot younger then. I mean,
she was. Yeah.
We're going back.
That's true too. You know,
way
this is
back
going
to when
back
she
into
was
the 60s,
literally a teenager. You know, when they met, and I'm similar to you, but I got my parents gave me, I think, a lot more background. There's like seeing this movie, like when I texted you, I was like, what did I say? Very, very good, very entertaining, and very sad. And it was like
very sad, but
that was Elvis.
Apparently you were like, I don't know, bitten with the bug to dance around your local
oh my God,
restaurant and stuff. So
no,
I can't say I can't say I went there, but
it was funny. We came home and Jen had to feed the neighbor's dog. So she went over there and she's like, while she's gone, I'm like running around the house, listening to the music, doing things with our dogs, you know, like not cleaning, but giving them the treats, calming them down. But I'm like singing the music and I'm like doing all the moves, like the knees going, the hips. I'm doing the whole thing. And I'm like, and Jen comes home and she's like, what the hell has got, and I was like, I swear to God, I'd forgotten I do all that. I did all that when I was a little kid. In my bed, like I had tapes, I had the records, and I would be in my room by myself, like dancing away like a fool. Like, I mean, an absolute fool. I mean, I wasn't nailing it by any stretch of the imagination, but it just, this movie brought back stuff I didn't even know I had, like memories and stuff, right? Like, just everything. How I remember my mom just telling me growing up, like, careful what you wish for. People take advantage of you. And she used to cite this. She used to cite this stuff, you know? And it's like, I leaned over to Jen halfway through this movie and you see everything he went through and how he was being pulled. And you're like, I said to her, I go, it's like almost like him dying was the best thing for him. He was just, but at the same time, he absolutely loved to be on that stage, you know, and it was
definitely
awesome.
a tragic figure, right? Like he didn't have the happiest of lives, you know. I mean, he had his money, you know, and I mean, he lived well,
Yeah.
for a short period of time. I mean, he died very, very young.
Oh, yeah. He's the definition of a shooting star. I mean, the absolute definition,
definitely, was not the happiest of lives. But, you see, that's the one common thread you see when with all of these, if you watch like Bohemian Rhapsody and you watch all of these things, like none of these artists end up being very happy. You know what I mean? Like, we all think money is
Right.
right, it's the age old thing. Money doesn't buy happiness. I'd still like to try it one day, but but
Give it a
ultimately,
whirl.
like these guys get this fame and fortune, and ultimately it doesn't make them happy,
Right. Well,
So
John, I mean, to be fair, I mean, and I'm not picking on you because I can look behind me. I've got a theater full of equipment. You've got collectibles behind you. There are many people that would look at us and go, "I'd like to have their money and see if I could be happy."
sure, yeah, for sure. I'm not.
But we're
hurting.
still chasing more, right?
Yeah.
So why, just because you get to Elvis's point or anybody's point, would you stop chasing more?
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
It's
not-
like-
I'm not even saying that.
Yeah.
It's just was very taken advantage of and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
mismanaged ultimately, and
Yeah.
died in debt. Really, I mean, and that happens a lot. You think you make all this money and it goes out just as fast as it comes in.
Right.
But yeah, neither one of us are hurting by any stretch.
No.
Like, we both live. I mean, I'm speaking for both of us, but I mean, I'm saying we both live very comfortable lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, I still buy lottery tickets every week. I mean, you're still always chasing, but
Yeah. That's the thing. And you are. And it's like, I feel like now getting back to the movie though, do you feel like this movie depicted him like he wasn't according to the movie now? I don't know if this is real or what, but I don't think he was doing it for the money. It felt like he just wanted to be out on that stage. Like his true passion was like being out there, and that's all he wanted to do. And everything else just came from that. And it was like, that was his addiction, to be on that stage. And then, so that's why he was allowing himself to take those drugs. That's why he couldn't go into rehab, because he's like, if I quit this, I can't get out there. Because you see how the ferocity that he was out there, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you could say the same for anybody in the beginning, right? Like anybody that reaches a level of fame started out because they loved doing what they were doing. Very
Right.
few of them like treat it, pro football players love to play football as kids or whatever,
Mhm.
But I think it's a certain point the money does factor in. Like there were portions of that movie where I felt like, the money was motivating for him. But ultimately, yeah, it was the fans and the love of being on stage.
Right.
But think about the things he wanted to do that he didn't really do, because money, because of money concerns or what have you.
See, I felt like it was the one thing he really wanted to do that he didn't do in the movie was travel the world.
Right.
And according to the movie, anyways, he would have made more money doing that, because they had that line where it's like, we could travel around. He goes, places are willing to pay you $1 million to come here, perform one night. You're in, you're out. We go on to the next spot. And then the next scene, you have the Colonel, $5 million for 5 years. So it sounds like, according to the Colonel, he lost money, right? Because and what he wanted to do was travel the world and see places. And I don't know if he got to, according to the movie. I don't remember. I feel like
I don't think he ever did, really.
No.
I don't know.
But how about that? The over $1 billion on that simulcast, on that concert that he did. Never been done since. And that is just, I don't think it ever will be, to be honest.
Well, yeah, in this day and age, it never will be, because you can't get enough people to come together
to agree on anything.
Yeah, for anything anymore.
Yeah.
Or to be in the same place. Because again, things were very different back then. Like, you didn't have a lot of choices either. It was one of 3 things that were on that night.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like now where you have so many options and it doesn't go anywhere. Like again, back then, if you missed that show, you were never going to see it again. But now it would live on forever. So it's like, I don't have to catch it Thursday night. I'll watch it Sunday when I'm, not busy or whatever.
Right.
So
yeah,
I still think you would ever. You could never replicate that in this day and age.
No,
So.
no, and but yeah, Austin Butler, amazing. He was on Arrow.
Yep.
Do you remember? Did you know that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember him either. He played 3 episodes on Arrow. He was in Yoga Hosers.
I knew that because
Did you?
Kevin Smith talks about it. Yeah.
What did Kevin Smith say about him? Anything?
Oh, just that he loved the kid. Was a great kid, and
he's like 30 years old or something now.
Well, I know we keep saying kid, but
well, to us,
I guess he saw the movie early and was just praising Austin, and mentioned that they had worked together. Ralph brought it up on his show yesterday too. I think that he worked with him on Yoga Hosers. And,
yeah.
So yeah, I haven't seen that. So
no, Jen and I want to though because we saw Tusk. And
I do want to see it because
I know it's a sequel.
I watched Tusk, but
I mean, if any movie deserves a sequel, it's Tusk.
It was Tusk, exactly.
Oh, that Jen and I have been talking about it ever since. I have since pre-ordered it because you got to do that. Yeah. I pre-ordered it,
right? Because it might run out.
Right? Is that I know every time it is so funny.
They might run out of digital downloads.
Right? Pre-order now, and it's like but are they like when they honestly are they doing that like for just idiots like me? Like really? Because where is it going to go? Like why?
Right. It's the digital download. There's an unlimited amount of that.
I could see. Well, look. I mean, pre-ordering the PlayStation 5 makes sense, but
exactly. But
right.
Pre-order unless they give you a pre-order discount. That's the only time I can really see it making sense.
I think I pre-order overpaid.
You probably pay more because it goes on sale later on. It gets cheaper.
Right. So. Exactly. Honestly, the pre-order was $39.99.
Yeah.
And it's not unheard of. I mean, it all goes by the studio, right? The studios, just like when you buy a disc, that your Kaleidoscape is beholden to the studio. So whatever they charge, I think they make. Somebody told me somewhere along the line they make like $1 or $2 a movie, something silly like that. Kaleidoscape. So it's it's all about the studio.
Yeah, they're not making. Yeah, they're not making a bunch on those. Yeah, I've heard that too. Of course, that might have been from you, but I heard that as well. So, but yeah,
I'm your inside
pretty good
man.
Possibility it was from you, but
exactly. Yeah.
But no, I did. I watched. Now this is probably more for the other show, but I watched a YouTube video, with some guys, and they were talking about physical versus downloading or streaming, and Kaleidoscape came up a lot, and I think they mentioned it on that show as well. Yeah. One of the guys on there was a dealer, and I think he said something along the lines of, them not making any money off the actual
content.
Off the content. So.
What I think, what was that? I forget. I just lost my train of thought. Son of a gun. I had it too. It was a rare good.
It was point. A doozy.
It was a doozy. A Lulu. Oh, maybe it'll come to. I don't know. Oh, that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't a rare good point. No, I want to. When I pre-order these things, I'm pre-ordering because I'm hoping that it shows the popularity. That's my vote for the You know what I mean? Like, wow, look at all these people are already buying this. They can't wait to get it. So it kind of, you know what I mean? It kind of shows the popularity of the movie. And I don't know, does my $39.99 go towards the sales of that weekend too for Elvis? Because it's all going to the same place. Even though I saw it in the theater and then bought the download. That the next morning it was available. Literally came out on Friday and Saturday. I checked Friday night to see if it was available right after the movie, and it wasn't. Right. But then Saturday morning, I went on my Kaleidoscape app, checked. There it is. I was like,
there it was, huh?
Yep. Download. Well, not download, but I bought it. So, all right.
See, and that's funny because that's just coming out in the theater this weekend, and it's already available on Kaleidoscape.
Well, it's
But
not available.
Strange,
I can.
Oh, but I mean, it's up for pre-order.
But Doctor
for
Strange.
Instance, last week, Doctor Strange didn't show up until after midnight, the day before it. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. The day before it came out.
Hiccup.
So, yeah, I had a little burp / hiccup there. So, you know, so it's again, and I know it's all based on the studio, but it's just funny how that, you know, like I said, how that happens.
John, the segue of all segues, that hiccup remedy, that Ralph talks about.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, did you try it?
Awesome. Yeah, I did. It's lime and not sugar. I did lime and what is it? It's bars have it. It's I can't remember. It begins with an A, I think. Oh, for the love of God, I can't think of what it was. But bars
Not
have
sugar?
it. It's like a sugar.
Aspartame?
Maybe no. Hang on. Let me try
that's the
here.
Sweetener that's in like Diet Coke and stuff.
I know. Hiccup cure. Let me see. How does I gotta find it because it worked perfect, and I don't want to. It worked so good. I mean, it literally, like, you could feel your chest reset. It was just awesome. I was saying to Jen, I'm like, this is because I had them really bad, and we were at the bar. And I asked them, I'm like, do you have this stuff here? And they're like, yeah. And they brought it. You just put a couple of drops. It's this brown liquid. Breathe into a paper bag. Hiccups, experts. Hiccup. Let me try. Hiccup cure, lime, and the coconut. A wedge of lime. Angostura bitters.
Oh.
Angostura.
Bitters.
Angostura bitters. And I'm like, I'd never heard of it. And they had it right behind the bar. So it's something that they add to drinks. So a wedge of lime or lemon or lime, and you put a couple of drops of this on that Angostura bitters onto the lime. You just put the lime in your mouth and boom, gone. Like that. And it was like, I got to get some of that for the house. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Man, it worked. I couldn't believe how fast it worked. I was like, they're gone. They're gone. I don't know what it does, but it was awesome. So
that's awesome.
There's a little hiccup PSA from Brightside Chat right there.
Yeah. Most of our listeners are like, man, maybe they should go away for a while.
They're running out of topics.
Talking about bitters and Elvis. And
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Oh, all right. All right. Well, John, you want to get to some mailbag?
Sure.
All right. We got a little bit of mailbag here. Oh, let's see. First one, we'll go with, oh, that's too far back. Where'd it go? Where is it? Here it is. From Martin. Hey, at Nick Whitmore. Sounds like at Brightside Chat and Arkham Comics have seen the light of our Nerdy Legion schedule. Magic isn't easy to create, boys.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
No, it is not. Nope,
it is not.
It is not. And then,
as evidenced by the fact that we still haven't
created any magic.
Yeah, we haven't created any.
Still looking for that bunny in the hat. Mike Myers. He says, very upset to hear at Brightside_chat and at Arkham Comics is going away for the most part. I understand podcasting takes a lot of time. Thanks for the episodes. I enjoyed the podcast a lot. Now I have to go find another comics, I am very picky, podcast that I enjoy. He's very picky, John, and he liked us.
He's very picky.
He still likes us.
I'll throw a little TLDR your way.
TLDR, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely check that one out if you haven't.
Yeah. It's they're actually straight on comics. We're comic book store hangout. They're just straight on
they're
comics.
They're comics.
Yeah. So But yeah, no, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. And as I replied to him, I'm like, we're not going away for good. We'll be back. We're going to be back for some big issues, some big events, stuff that happens in the comic book world. And honestly, with the way we're doing things now, I haven't even talked to you about this, John, but even if something were to happen with your store, we always said, like, if you didn't have the store, I think we'd still do it. No? We'll still come back on.
I don't know. We'll see.
Really?
We might.
I mean, we don't have to just...
Well, I'm not going to, like I said, I won't, I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but I probably won't read comics anymore. I mean, we've talked about that because, like, I don't buy comics anymore.
Right.
I read my store, my store stock, basically. If I didn't have those coming in, like I said, I don't collect comics. I wouldn't start buying comics just for the occasional show. So I probably wouldn't do that. Now, that doesn't mean there's not other stuff we could talk about.
Oh, of course.
A big chunk of what we talk about revolves around comics in my store.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. Good news is we're not going away. We'll be over there at HT.
Right.
So
you can always listen over there. I imagine we'll have very similar conversations in a lot of respects.
Yes. A lot more home theater stuff, but yes.
Yeah, of course. But
our banter, John. It's our banter.
That's right. That will still be there.
Speaking of banter, BJ chiming back in at Brightside HD, at Brightside_chat. I'm sorry I've been MIA. I listened to a short episode on my Echo in the shower the other day, and did my ears deceive me? I take a small break and you get another follower named BJ. Ha ha ha. Well, I look forward to catching up. And yeah, his ears did deceive him. It was VJ on the show.
Okay.
VJ was coming on the show. That was actually the show that dropped today, but I had mentioned in an earlier podcast that he would be coming on with me. So, and of course, we get our message from Theo, our boy Theo, there on YouTube, says, "Hi, fellas, fun show. You two go together so well. Excited to see you on your new show." So, because he watches over there as well. And John, I just want to let you know that Mailbag is going to be going over to HT because pretty much that's people over there have been like, "Are you doing that over here?" Because they're missing out on all the emails.
Most of the ones that are commenting here are from there anyways. So
that's not true. Nick and Mike and Tom Bellows. We haven't heard from him in a little bit. He didn't DM me, but hopefully Tom will head over there too. Or at least keep chatting with us. So, but
yeah.
All right. That will do it for Mailbag for this week. John, I know we talked about Elvis for a little too long.
I don't know how much time we have for
I don't know. We got breaking news, tons and tons of breaking news.
Yeah. So there was literally the only news this week is a confirmation of news from last week. Because it was such a slow news week. Like, I was looking for anything, but the only thing I saw was that, last week we talked about the rumor of them working on a Game of Thrones sequel series with Jon Snow. And that actually was confirmed this week by George R.R. Martin and also Emilia Clarke, who confirmed it by saying she has no interest in being on it. But
her character's dead, no?
Well, right, her character's dead. But
that one I did know.
This is a fantasy world, and things can happen, flashbacks or whatever. But she's not really interested in revisiting that role. But apparently, this is all Kit Harington's idea. He brought this to HBO, looking to do this. So I think GRR is on board with it as well. So looks like that is actually going to happen at some point. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's it. Nothing else. We saw Elvis. So,
and the next image I just sent you, that's what's up on the screen right now.
Yeah, I was just I'm just pulling it up. So yeah, that's it. That's all.
That's all, folks. I grabbed that. It was because I think that's what you wrote too in the notes.
That's what I wrote. Yeah, on the notes. Yeah, I was like, that's it. That's one news story.
One news story. That's all, folks. Yeah, I couldn't. It's really slow news.
Yeah, there was just really nothing coming out.
It's slow out there right now. Is Top Gun Maverick is getting a resurgence in the theater. It was tied for #1 this past week.
It was tied for #1 with Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's and I'm seeing it in and I think that has a lot more to do with the fact that Dominion was so
a garbage movie.
Yeah, it was so bad that the theaters are like, all right, let's get Maverick back up there and get people back into the theaters because people just weren't going for that one. But I mean, it's good on them, good on Maverick. But did you hear today's podcast at all with VJ?
No,
because he asked it. We had a good
finished the Ralph report actually.
We had a good conversation on like why everybody's talking about Maverick so much. And,
oh, really?
And I was like, I think people are just excited to go back to the theaters. It's the first big one where theaters are wide open, and I don't know about your area. Are you in? You guys don't have sectional seating, right? Yeah, no seat restrictions. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, everything's just wide open. So, I think people are excited for that. And people are going to see it. So, and Elvis is doing well. So,
doing very well. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You ready to get to checkout?
I am.
All right, John. What did we spend our money on this week?
All right. First book this week is from Dynamite Comics. It was Samurai Sonya, issue #1. This was written by Jordan Clark, had art by Pasquale Qualano, cover art by Lucio Parrillo. Much like Batman fatigue, I was kind of wondering when Sonya fatigue would set in. It clearly set in with this book for me.
I think it set in with the writer.
Yeah. This was
clearly not the show
very
title.
well done. And yeah, it just felt kind of phoned in. Like it was just, hey, we're going to take Red Sonja. We're going to make her a samurai, Asian samurai character. And that's it. Like, not much happened here. She got thrown into the ocean, made a deal with some god to save her life and come back and be Samurai Sonya and go on.
I don't get the rules
quest.
Though.
Yeah.
If you lose a battle, you give up your name and your whole
I didn't and your whole family's name.
But I thought by the god watching over her, she wouldn't lose a battle. Like she can't die. So
right. I guess if she falls in battle, this says her bloodline will be erased, her family's name no more.
Right. Okay.
So,
but how is she going to fall in battle if she's got the god looking over her?
Yeah, well, I don't think it makes her immortal, though. I don't think it makes her immortal.
It just sounds like a weird. It sounds lazy to me as writing. Yeah. Like, all right, you're going to lose your name. Like, what kind of punishment is that?
It says Sonya will make an awful deal with a dreaded sea goddess. Yeah, I guess. Gifted with magical armor and weapons capable of slaying mythical beasts, which was not described anywhere in the book. I didn't know that till I just read this right here.
I know.
And yeah, when you have to get all your information from the synopsis, something didn't click.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, this just felt very lazy. And it's just kind of like, what can we do with Sonya next? Next month we'll have like 6-shooter Sonya, and it'll be a Western book, and then the week after that, it'll be like this is like Westworld, right? Like we've got Sonya and Samurai. We're gonna have like Western Sonya coming up sometime soon. I'm sure we'll have we already kind of had like biker Sonya when she showed up in New York in that series a couple years ago. So, again, just Dynamite being Dynamite, milking their 3 characters for all they're worth. Because there's also 17 different Vampirella titles on the shelves right now too. So, guess that works for them. But this book was not for me. I didn't think it was very good.
No, not a big fan of that one.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes. So.
Yep.
All right, you ready to go on to the next one?
I am. Next up, we have. Well, let's see what DJ's texting me.
This is something from that book. A panel from that book. Beware.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
That's didn't? Funny. I will get to that in a minute. Then, oh boy, are we putting out the teas tonight? Look at that.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what we're talking about. Beware the Eye of Odin.
Yeah. Beware the Eye of Odin from Image Comics. This is issue 1 of 4. Was written by Doug Wagner, had art by Tim Odland and Michelle Madsen. So to give you a little context on this, we got a message last week, the day our show went up, from one Dr. Joe talking about how terrible this book was. So I
forgot about that.
Yeah. I did not go into this with very high hopes because Dr. Joe and I generally have similar outlooks on the comics that we read.
Similar negativity towards things.
Now, while this wasn't stellar by any means, I actually didn't hate it. Like, I kind of enjoyed it. Maybe because I had such low expectations going into it.
Dr. Joe set us up well.
Yeah. Because like I said, it wasn't fantastic. Like, it's not, I'm not going to say it was like great, but I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't think it was that bad. This follows Steger, who is a Viking prince, and he finds the Eye of Odin. And there's a curse on the eye that says the Eye of Odin must be returned to its rightful owner, who consequently is not Odin, but like the leader of the ice giants.
Yeah.
So that was weird. I don't understand why Odin is not the owner of the Eye of Odin. But so he has to go out on this quest to return the Eye of Odin. And he has a couple of companions who he tried to get to not come with him. And of course, they came anyways. One is basically his, I guess, mentor or friend from the village, who's a one-armed ex-Viking warrior, and a Valkyrie, or a female that claims she's a Valkyrie, but he doesn't think she is. But anyways, so this is just kind of like a, I don't know, madcap, I guess. It had some humor to it. Like, there was some kind of hijinks that went on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're on this quest to return the eye, and are being pursued by some trolls who apparently somehow know he has the eye, and they want the eye, and he's going to go on this quest to try to return it. But I don't know. Like I said, I actually thought the characters were kind of fun. I liked the Valkyrie character. I thought she was good. I probably am not going to read number 2.
That's what I was going to ask you. I'm like,
and upfront about it, but I didn't hate it.
Let me ask you this: which one did you read first?
I think I read Eye of Odin first.
Okay, so did I.
Yeah, I believe I read that one first. Because I expected to like it less than Sonya, and so I read it first. I actually liked it more than Samurai Sonya.
Yeah, I did too, but that's not I'm not far off from Dr. Joe. I thought the story was kind of like just rudimentary. Very like, we've been there, done that.
Well, it's very simple.
Very simple.
We've been here before.
Yeah.
Kind of but let's be honest, like, we've seen so many, like, what isn't anymore, Well, anything we see these days, we've kind of been there before.
Yeah.
So
it's absolutely. Hard. But that's what makes it fun when you come up with a new version of something, or you told it in a different way. This episode brought to you by Diet Coke.
Yeah.
That's John just taking another sip, making sure the label's out.
That's right. Gotta get my aspartame in.
Yeah. Get your aspartame in. I just in those little creatures, and then of course once they lose it, oh no, we got to get it back, because it's like, oh boy, okay. But it did have that one great line in the book, which raises it above any other book this week. Just in one panel it says, "Look at the bright side, Steiger." Steiger.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, the bright side. See, you can't. That's why Dr. Joe didn't like it. If they had said, "Oh man,"
if they had said, "Look at the TLDR,"
the rules for this quest are just TLDR.
Right.
He's like, oh man, he would have been all up on that. He'd be like, oh yeah, LFG. That's one of Dr. Joe's favorite lines.
Yeah.
If you follow him on Twitter. And he, to Dr. Joe's credit, it's the one time he actually doesn't say the F word. He just says the F. Just LFG. Right. Love you, Dr. Joe. All right. So I am going to suggest, after those two rousing reviews, we go with Obi Wan season 1.
Sure. If we haven't used that yet.
I don't care.
We haven't used. Okay.
I don't care. Like, I think you should see it.
Yeah.
So did you read anything else?
Well, once again, I wrote down Nightwing 93, but now I'm struggling to recall a lot of what happened in the book, because I read it a week ago.
Oh, the setup.
But it was
the police set him up.
Yeah, that's
Remember?
Right. It was.
I loved it. It was really good.
He stopped somebody from.
I love you.
Putting graffiti on the statue of Alfred, and turns out it was cops doing it, and they were framing him for that. And but
and the cops were so stupid they didn't even mask themselves.
Well, no, I think they unmasked, but were caught on
other tape,
one of the cameras that Oracle, that Oracle monitored. But I think they were masked because Dick didn't recognize them when they were doing the vandalism initially. But yeah, it was more. It just continues to be the interactions between him and Barbara. The dog,
Halsey.
But there was a couple of
Halsey, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
There was some scenes with Heartless, which were also pretty good. Setting up what's to come with that
Kingpin.
Character, so yeah,
it seems like Kingpin,
right? Basically Kingpin. But yeah, I just, like I said, continued to enjoy Nightwing a lot. I think it's still one of my favorite books right now. And so, like I said, unfortunately, I write these things down on Tuesday when they come out, and by the time we're talking about it the next week. I don't remember. I don't remember what happened anymore.
Yeah, that is one of those books that you're really excited to read. And
I read it right away.
But also drops on Tuesdays, so you could see it before, like today's show. Like last week, we could have.
Right.
I almost
we could have talked about it,
and I was like, no, I got to save it. So I usually save it for this past weekend, so it's a little fresher for me. But yeah, it is a great book.
But that's why I read the checkout books I read those Monday night, so I will remember them for Tuesday. But the other books, like I said, I read early in the week. And,
so your Monday night sucked.
It wasn't a good Monday night because I didn't enjoy either one of those. I read some more Dune after that, and that cleansed my palate a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
So
there you go. Cleanse the old palate. So
all
right. Yeah. I didn't really read anything else. I barely even watched anything else either. Oh, of shows. Oh, I watched our shows. So you want to get to that too? Real World?
We'll get to
You got any more books or anything?
No.
Okay. You ready for Real World? Yeah. All right. Here we go. All right.
So first, I forgot to mention this. We actually watched this movie on Father's Day as well, with the kids before, like I said, we were waiting for people to show up. But we watched the new Father of the Bride which is a remake of.
There's a new one?
Father of the Bride. Yeah, there's a new one. Came out. It's on HBO Max. Stars Andy Garcia as the dad, and Gloria Estefan is the mom. The
Miami
daughter
Sound Machine?
Of the Miami Sound Machine.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Rhythm's going to get
Miami MF Sound Machine.
Yeah.
Adria Arjona, I think. I don't know if I said that right. Plays the oldest daughter. She played in Morbius. She played the girlfriend in Morbius.
Ooh.
And she also is playing on. Yeah, she's playing on Irma Vep right now too, which is the show we're watching. Oh,
there it is.
Oh my.
Oh my. Yeah. So yeah, this was fun. It was a
stroking his bald cat.
Well, I haven't heard that in a while. I forgot about that one. Those are the ones you probably won't get on the home theater podcast. But
she fell onto dick.
Unfortunately. Yeah, that definitely won't come up on the home theater podcast. But this was fun. It was a fun movie. It wasn't, an exact remake of the Steve Martin movie, but it had a lot of the similar themes. Of course, Andy Garcia's the dad. The daughter's announces she's getting married. He's not too happy about it, but they go on the whole wedding planning journey, and just like any other comedy,
yeah,
lots of things happen, but spoilers, they get married in the end and live happily ever after. So, but this was pretty good. We liked it. I think you guys, Jen, you and Jen would like it too.
I don't know if I can watch marriage movies with Meg getting married. It's this
would be a very similar, right? Because you're the father of the bride.
I know.
Now,
yeah, so. You know what I found out this past week? I thought, and I was so excited. I'm like, John, I think you're going to be able to feel my pain here.
I might be able to.
You know what I'm like giving speeches at weddings.
I do. Oh, did you find out you have to speak at the wedding?
Yes. I was all excited. All I have to do is walk her down the aisle.
Right. Just show up.
It's a straight line, John.
I just had to pay for things, walk down the aisle.
You know why the lines in churches are straight? Because of people like me. You don't want them getting lost. Just go to the end, hand her off like a football, and go sit down. That's what I want to do. Right. Be like, that's going to be tough enough for me, handing off my little girl. And now she's like, oh, we want you to welcome everybody. Can I send a letter?
Right.
What do you mean, welcome everybody? She's like, once everybody comes in, we want you to... No!
At the church or the reception?
No, at the reception.
At the reception.
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying, because I don't think they do that at the church.
I thought I was all excited. I thought all I had to do was just walk down and just enjoy myself. Because at my wedding, I don't remember anybody at your wedding welcoming people. I don't know.
No, I don't. We didn't do that.
No.
You do. Yeah, you have the daughter, the dance with your daughter. Like,
yeah, I could do that.
And that. Right, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's usually
see my Elvis
your only
moves,
responsibilities. John. I know, I heard.
But no, that I can do. I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. Megan and I will be laughing. We'll have a good time. But now I got to speak? I'm like, no. She goes, you have a podcast. Yeah, I sit by myself with my buddy. I'm like, I don't want to get up. Like, this is completely different.
There's no audience.
No.
We can't see the people listening to us.
Right.
So it's different.
Oh.
Very different.
Yeah, not cool. So now Jen goes, why'd you tell him that? Now he's just going to be worried all the way to December. I'm like,
yeah, right? You're going to be like stressing.
You should have just wrote it down and handed it to me right as we were going into the reception. Say this. Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, so, all right. So I got that to worry about. So, okay. So I'll see that movie in January.
All right. Yeah. So watch Father of the Bride in January. Rewatched Doctor Strange on Disney Plus. Because obviously it dropped last week. It was in IMAX enhanced on Disney Plus. So yeah, I really enjoyed. Obviously we've both seen the movie, so there was nothing new there. I did enjoy the IMAX enhanced. I did feel like the sound was a little lacking though. on the Disney Plus stream, but I mean it's streaming, so
right.
That's to be expected.
Par for the course.
But yeah, like this was one where I was at full reference level and probably could have even gone a little higher, you know, just to really get anything to hit with that. But excellent movie. Of course, now, you know, a whole new audience has seen it that hadn't seen it before. And all the keyboard warriors are out all over Facebook giving their reviews of it. So you know how I feel about that. So glad they're out there telling us all about this movie. But yeah, so I watched that.
Did you see the thing on my HT Twitter feed? The argument about spoilers?
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, it was
I don't know how I missed that.
It was beautiful. So one of my listeners, my buddy Steve, who was my buddy, I'll call him my buddy, but he put out same thing. He saw it, and he's actually bigger than my podcast, for God's sakes. He's got a lot of Twitter followers, big into home theater. I featured his theater on HT Tours. He's got a beautiful theater, but he puts out reviews all the time. So he put out a review, and usually his first review, it'll come each tweet about a movie will come with 4 screenshots of the movie playing on his TV. He's got a beautiful Sony OLED. So he put up 4 pictures, and in one of the pictures there was Professor Xavier. And but earlier in the day, he had said this was the day that Obi-Wan final episode. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to watch Obi-Wan or whatever till later. Or he's like, let's not spoil Obi-Wan, people. Let's, watch yourselves. So then later on, he puts out the Doctor Strange one with...
Somebody said, well, yeah, you can spoil this, but not...
But then they're like... And I was like, and like he said, he goes, it was in the trailer. He goes, he was in the trailer. And... The guy's like, well, I didn't know that. And we went into this whole thing back and forth. The guy ended up blocking me, and then he unfollowed me and he kept asking questions. And I was like, all I was doing, I wasn't arguing. I was like, oh no, that was in the trailer. You could see, and then you could hear him. And they're like, well, it was just hinted at. Yeah, that he was in the movie. You knew.
Yeah. It was his voice.
It was his, and they showed the silhouette of the side of his head, like over his shoulder, looking down at Doctor Strange, right? And I'm like, I said, there's always been like this a lot of talk about what's the moratorium on this stuff, right? And it's usually about 7 days. And he's like, where does it say that?
This thing,
this
thing was in the theaters 6 months ago.
No, it was 6. It was actually 6 weeks. Or 6 weeks.
Or 6
That's
weeks
what
ago,
it was.
Whatever.
6 weeks. But, almost 2 months ago. So he goes, where's that ever been? That's what his reply was. And this is what got me blocked and dropped, is that I tweeted back. I go, oh, as a matter of fact, the Russo brothers mentioned it on national TV. And, blah, blah, and I sent the video, the YouTube video of them saying, oh, wait 10 days, and then, the moratorium. And I'm like, so we're well within the 10 days. And it wasn't even...
Disney spoils their own stuff after 5 days.
That's what I mean.
On Mondays, they put up character posters of whatever happened on the episode the Wednesday before.
Well, same
5 days.
Spider-Man.
They spoil their own stuff.
Spider-Man. That was put out by them. They spoiled it themselves, like 2 or 3 weeks later, right? And it was like, it was just one of those things that it was like it wasn't even a spoiler. And I know these guys aren't listening now, and most of it, but I won't even spoil it here. But the irony is, and I said this to a couple people offline. I'm like, anybody that's seen the movie knows that Xavier thing was a shell game to make you all excited about that, and you didn't even realize you were getting the other spoiler, the other reveal that came. And I didn't want to say that on because these couple of people. One guy was very respectful, Rob's Media Vault. He was one of them involved in the discussion as well. But I didn't want to say that to anybody about like, hey, that wasn't the spoiler. That's why it was in the trailer. And it was just kind of funny how people are getting all mad. And I'm like, it's been out for 6 weeks. If you really cared, go see it in the theater. And the guy said to me, he goes, well, I don't really care. Then what are you upset about?
Right.
And then the original guy, the poor guy that said, hey, and he was just joking with Steve. he's the one that mentioned, hey, spoilers. And at the end, after all of these conversations, he goes, can I be added to be taken out of this conversation?
Right.
And he's the one that started it. And I'm like, I thought it was hysterical because he's like, wow, that's it. Just sticking up for your mate. That's what, because they're from England. And I was like,
yeah,
no, and I said, I'm answering your question. You asked, where has this been said before? And I was like, it's right here. Here you go. Look. But yeah, I really enjoy that movie too. It is getting a lot of flack though.
It is, but it did when it came out too. I mean, it got a lot of flack in the theaters as well. I mean, we've even talked about it. Like, it's not my favorite Marvel movie at all. I enjoyed it, but I think it's mid-level Marvel at best. Like, it's not their best movie, but it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of fun. Like I said, it was still fun this time around too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed watching it again. So,
speaking of the Marvel movies, they just went on sale on Kaleidoscape.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, if you bundle them together, if you get like more than 4, you get them half off. So they go from $24.99 to being $12.50, whatever it is, right? And I'm like, all right, I'll finish my collection.
I would say, do you have them all now?
Well, I do right now, but when I went to, I told Jen about it this morning because I saw it this morning and I bought them and I click on it. So when you click on it, it'll show you all of the Marvel movies, but then it'll highlight the ones that you don't have already. So of like the 27 movies available, I bought my last 6.
Yeah, so you had most of them.
I'm like, all right. So I paid full price for like most of them. But hey, gotta have them,
Gotta have them.
Yep. So, all right. What else you got going? There's a lot on Doctor Strange.
Gaslit. Yeah. Gaslit, which is a show on Stars.
Yep.
Not sure if you've heard of it.
I have.
Julia Roberts, Sean Penn, some other people, focusing on the Watergate scandal. But like it focused kind of on like the lesser known participants, in the
not
Watergate
Nixon
scandal. Yeah, not Nixon. Focused a lot on John Dean, Martha Mitchell, of course, was Julia Roberts, John Mitchell, Sean Penn. Yeah, it's very interesting. Again, this happened in our lifetimes, but we were both very, very young when this happened, and I've never gone back and done a deep dive on Watergate or Nixon or any of that. So it was pretty interesting. Again, dramatized, so you don't know how much of this is completely accurate.
Well, it is
because like G. Gordon Liddy, the character in the movie, was kind of a psycho. I don't know if he was really that way. Maybe he was, but yeah, I liked it. Again, I feel like after it found its footing after the first couple of episodes. Like, we watched 2 of them, and I would have been okay dropping it after the 2. I asked Lydia, I was like, well, how are you feeling about this show? Are you liking it? Because we got like 5 more to watch. And she liked it, so we stuck with it. And starting with kind of episode 3 and up, it really kind of, like I said, it found its legs and got pretty interesting. So we watched all of that. Like I said, I think it was 7 episodes. Started watching Umbrella Academy. Friday on Netflix.
Forgot
season
about that.
3. I think we're 3 episodes into that right now. We watched 2 on Sunday, and we watched 1 last night. So we're not too far into that. I think there's 10 episodes for season 3. But yeah, I again really liked seasons 1 and 2. So this one picks up right where season 2 left off, and so far it's been pretty good. Not in Atmos, which is disappointing for some reason. I don't know why.
What is that on again?
I don't remember. It's on Netflix.
So
yeah, so it should be. But I don't know if the first 2 seasons were. I don't remember anymore. But I was surprised to see that. But
yeah, that's weird.
Still looks great. Still sounds great. It's a lot of fun. And then this last one. Have you heard of the movie RRR?
Yes.
on Netflix?
Yep.
Have you seen it?
No, but I've had a bunch of people from my other podcast tell me about it.
Oh my God, this thing is insane. You have got to watch this movie, man.
Yeah.
I watched it. Well, I started watching it Saturday, and then my son showed up earlier than I expected him to, because they were coming over for dinner. I started watching it around 3:00. This is like a 3-hour movie, and expected to be finished around 6, which is when I had told people to start coming over. But he showed up early. I was halfway through it, so I stopped watching it, and then picked it up and finished it last night.
That's the Indian
this
one,
movie,
right?
It's the Indian one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's same thing. It was all over all of the Dolby Atmos groups and Dolby Vision groups, because it's got fantastic Atmos and Dolby Vision. And so I started watching it. Yeah, and it's one of those Hindi Bollywood movies, which I've never seen one before.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've never seen one, yeah. So, I mean,
That's
I kind of
why.
knew what to expect because
yeah.
I've heard of them.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, I've never seen one before. But this is just this crazy action movie. It's like kind of like 80s kung fu movie action where they're
Which
not
you love.
superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love. But like I said, they're not superheroes or have superpowers, but yet like they're lifting up motorcycles and swinging them around with one hand and
Nice.
throwing them at people. And
Because he can do that.
because you could do that. And like in the middle of like whatever, they just start breaking out into these like song and dance numbers that are like, there's one scene where the guy's like, he'd been captured and he's getting whipped up on, the public square with like, these barbed wire whips and all this stuff. And he's just like singing a song. It was
Nice.
crazy. But I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, man. I really did. Like, you have got to watch it. It's great for the theater. I mean, it looks and sounds incredible. But it was just the most, you can get ready with Chris Evans, but it was like the most batshit crazy
Nice.
movie I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
It
Where
was
is he?
just so good. Yeah. So I just recommend. You have got to watch it. You'll, like I said, I just found myself, even in the dance numbers or whatever, I was just like happy. Like I just found myself like, but like I just found myself sitting there like smiling, and I was like all happy, I'm like,
Right.
It had like such joy about it, because
Right.
like when you see them doing this stuff,
But
it's
it's
just
just-
crazy
it's
that
so-
you're in the middle of this like Rambo action movie, and then you're watching these
But I
these
love
big elaborate dance numbers.
I knew they were
So-
in there from other listeners, but I just
I
love
knew
how
they
you're-
were too.
I
But
know, but I love how you're telling the story about it, and you're like, it was just so great. It's an action movie, like the old kung fu, and then those dance numbers. You're like, wait, whoa. Like,
yeah.
it's just so great because it is. It's like
Yeah.
that kind of, like you said,
Yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy. Like I want to
Yeah.
see more. Like I want to find another movie like that and watch another one.
Yeah.
But even like Lydia came home. I don't know. There was like 45 minutes left of it, and she came home, and I was like, I wasn't going to stop it again and have to come back to it. Plus, I wanted to have it done so I could talk about it today. So I just kept watching it, and she was watching the end of it. And even her, who's not really into this sort of thing, was like, the effects in this movie are like great.
Yeah.
And like for her to make that comment is just because she would never notice, doesn't really ever notice that kind of stuff, like
John,
special effects and things like that. So
how are you saying you're not going to contribute to Home Theater Podcast? Look at you
I don't
go.
but how many RRRs are there to watch like every week? Like
You
they
tell
don't
me
come
about
out every
them
day.
all the time. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Trust me, plenty of
So.
content. But
Definitely my favorite thing that I watched this week.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
Even Obi-Wan, which I loved Obi-Wan, spoilers, but this was like
We'll get to
I just
that.
had such a good time watching this movie. It was so good. So
cool.
because I would just found myself like it is so over the top sometimes you just can't help but
Right.
laugh at it and enjoy it,
Well,
So.
John, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
We're gonna have that
Gotta
on the
watch.
table next week in the Home Theater Podcast.
For sure,
I'm
yeah.
gonna be watching
And
that.
hopefully
so.
somebody else that's listening that was on the fence or hadn't heard of it.
Yes.
Definitely check it out.
Check it out.
Know what you're getting into. It's 3 hours long. I mean, it
Yeah, but
it's
I've heard
chunk
it
of
flies
time.
by too. Rob H.
It
saw
does go by pretty fast.
Yeah, Rob H.
goes
from
by pretty fast.
EV Rant saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. All right. Anything else?
No, I mean Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel. Yeah, well, I watched The Boys as well. Hero-gasm.
Oh my God.
Big episode this week.
That's been we've been waiting for that scene. Right?
Yeah, since
From the
season
books.
1.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they've been talking about it since season 1, but
yeah.
But yeah, still The Boys. I don't know what else to say about it. Like it just continues to be what it is, but it's so over the top, but this was a good episode, actually. The hero-gasm thing was really such a small part of the episode.
Yeah, it really was.
Like, it wasn't even really
John,
important part of it.
Sex sells, John.
It does.
I mean, they were tweeting about it. They were tweeting, The Boys' Twitter handle was tweeting.
Well, and the scene with the deep
hero-gasm.
The scene with the deep was a little disturbing.
But we'd seen that before, though, already, right? When he was talking with the other
Yeah, but I don't think we saw what we saw in this episode.
Yeah.
So.
Who amongst us?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, since American Pie, does anything shock you on television?
When in Rome.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
we know what John
watch
did
The
in Rome.
Boys. Exactly. Well, you saw the squid ink pasta, right? Where do you think that came from? So, but yeah, watch The Boys. Watch Miss Marvel.
I haven't seen Miss Marvel yet.
Watched another episode of The Old Man, which is really great.
Okay.
I know I mentioned that last week, but that's the Jeff
Did you
Bridges,
see Candy
John
yet?
Lithgow.
Jen and I finished that.
No, I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's apparently, we thought it was 6 episodes, and we just finished the 5th episode last night.
That was it.
And we were like, I guess this is it, because it wrapped up pretty quickly.
Right. That was it.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. A little different than reality, slightly different. They just don't elaborate on. I won't get into it, but after you've seen it, I recommend Googling what really happened, and just the legalities of what Candy went through, but it's really good and really weird, and that's why it's it's a weird case. It's a weird thing to happen, and that's why it makes a great TV show. It is real. It really did happen. A woman really killed her friend, and I recommend seeing it. I think you and Lydia will be like, "What the hell?"
It's saved in my Just Watch app that I'm still using.
Yeah. And when they reenact the murder,
definitely get to that.
Yeah. Because it's real, it's boys-ish. It's like The Boys.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's real. It's not. It is pretty graphic because of the sounds and everything they put in there.
Right.
But it's public. No, I think it's fairly early on too. She hacked her 41 times. 41, 40,
oh, really?
42, 41, 42 times. And there's a scene in the season where the husband goes out and tries to use his axe 41 times. And he's like exhausted. So.
Oh, yeah.
But that says a lot about what happened to her and why she did it. So it's really interesting. So
cool.
A story I'd never heard of before too. So thank God we turned it into entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Profiting off of somebody's misery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's like, all right. Let's see. What else? Oh, I watched Captain Marvel again this week.
Oh, okay.
Really good. I don't know why. I think maybe because of Meg.
I like it too. I don't know why everybody hates it so much.
I love it. I love the whole Fury thing being this is Fury before he was Fury, really.
Right.
And it just really kind of sets the whole MCU, what happened with Steve Rogers, that was almost, for all intents and purposes, an accident at the time. So everything got put on hold, but we know, what's his name? Tony Stark's dad. What's his name?
Howard,
sorry.
Howard.
Yeah. Howard and, Agent Carter, they had their old thing going, but just the whole idea of the Avengers Initiative and stuff had never taken place, and it just, it's just fun watching that. It's it's a '90s theme, of course, but and I like the character too. I love how powerful she is.
I don't think I've seen it since
yet.
the theater. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I've only seen it once. I haven't watched it at home, but yeah, and I'm a fan. Yeah, like you, I'm a fan of the character. I like Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. In the comics. I mean, I read her book. Like I said, she's super powerful. Everybody is like, how can she do all this? They're like, oh, this movies and they make her overpowered because of blah blah blah. Got to be representative or whatever. She is that in the comics, and she always has been.
Yeah.
Like she is like Superman level powerful. You know what I mean? And
almost like more. Like her and Thor are like planet killers.
Right.
On their own.
Right.
And
it's like, they just made her
fought.
this for the movie. And it's like, no, they didn't.
No.
She's always been that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I love that. I love the whole idea of it. I love it's just a fun movie. I jumped through Edge of Tomorrow. Live, Die, Repeat. Because that's just...
See what you did there.
I think that comes out today. I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of talk about it right now. So that one just came out. I think it just came out on 4K with the Atmos and everything. And so I was just jumping through those scenes, and it's awesome. Let's see. Anything else of note this week? Black Widow. Did I tell you I watched any of that? Started that back up again. And Thor Dark World started that as well. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but I'm having fun with it. So just like most of the Marvel movies. I think we get too picky because they're all so good that you just like, but when you take them on their own, you're just like, yeah, that was fun. It's just fun
like I said, I don't dislike it. I mean, it's clearly not, again, it's not one of the best, but I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
We watched it again recently for one of our shows, one of the podcasts we did, and it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and Hunt for Red October started that one again.
Yeah.
That's just fun.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a real good one. Yeah. Real good. So, and now I've got the rest of my MCU movies to start going through as well. So, looking forward to all of that. All right. You ready to wind things down, and then we'll get to Kryptonite, and we'll get to Obi Wan, and we'll just go right. We'll just wrap things up and go right to Obi Wan. We're gonna wrap up spoilers when we get there. So that will do it for this show. That will do it for a few weeks, John. At least a few weeks.
At least a few weeks.
When are we getting Zdarsky?
Oh, I don't.
Do you know the date on that? It's July, right?
No, I don't. It's in July. Yeah.
It's in July, and we're getting 2 books. So we're getting Daredevil Zdarsky, and we're getting Batman Zdarsky. I mean, if that's not an event to come back for.
Yeah.
And we'll probably
like I said, I know they come out the same Wednesday. I just don't know what week they come out.
All right. So we'll probably be back shortly after that, because I'm like really looking forward to that. So.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't want to stick around and listen to spoilers of the season 1 of Obi-Wan, that will do it. And we will see you. I guess, John, we'll see you when we see you, right?
See you when we see you. Yeah.
All righty.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Hey, Fred. And we're back.
We are.
We are back. John, what do you got to do, buddy?
What do I got to do?
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything.
We're in spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since we've done Kryptonite.
I know.
I was like, what do I have to do? I don't know. I don't have to do anything.
The data tells me there is potential danger of plot and/or character dynamics that could go rotten.
See? Yep. All right.
Cortana. Thanks, Cortana.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Obi Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Kenobi.
Season 1 is, where would you, let's first off, and we hardly ever do this, but where would you rank this in the Star Wars shows? So far we have
Star Wars shows?
2 Mandalorians, well, 3 Mandalorians.
Well,
and this.
We have Mandalorian 1 and 2, right? Then we have Boba Fett. It's definitely better than Boba Fett. I mean, I don't know if it was ultimately better than Mandalorian. Like, consistently, it wasn't better than The Mandalorian, I don't think.
No.
But it had, like, from episode 4 through 6 were incredible, I thought. Like, it had some great moments, but as a whole, the 6-episode show probably wasn't as good as either season of The Mandalorian. So I guess I would place it third.
Yeah. It's a good
out
spot.
Of 4. But
those are all high moments. Thirds.
Well,
like
right,
those
exactly,
are all high
because
rankings.
Mandalorian 1 and 2 were great.
Yeah.
They were both really, really great. And even Boba Fett had some moments, but unfortunately, all the moments in Boba Fett revolved around the Mandalorian.
But you know what I think is interesting, and I usually don't do this before our podcast. Usually, and I mean, like, what I'm about to say, like, so #dork I've listened to for years, and when you and I started doing our podcast, and I even told Rich this when I had him on my home theater podcast, I was like, I can't listen to you guys before my podcast because then I'll feel like I'm taking your opinions and use them. And it's not like they would ever accuse us of anything, but it's just my own. But, I don't want to be tainted.
You don't want to mess up your own.
Correct. But
thoughts on
this week I did because Rich had tweeted out that he didn't like it. So I really wanted to hear that other opinion. And he even said in his podcast, and that's why I wanted to say this to you, is like, it's funny how we have the Mandalorian, which is like a brand new character with a brand new story arc. Those are our favorites. But our least favorite is when they took Boba Fett, a character we thought we knew, which was all, and everything we knew about him was Star Wars lore. And that was the mystery of him, but we knew. And what they did is they changed it. And most of the time we were complaining about it because we were like, this isn't the Boba Fett we knew, right?
Right.
And then Obi-Wan, we really liked this, but one of the things was we have expectations. And when you don't meet those expectations, there's a chance for disappointment, right? And with a character like Obi-Wan, I feel like you almost can't help but be disappointed.
Well,
whereas Mandalorian, what do you got?
Well, I think part of it too is because I felt this the most in the finale. Because every single character in the finale, with the exception of the one merchant guy at the beginning who told Owen that somebody was looking for him, had plot armor, right? Like, there was no stakes to anything that happened in that final episode. Like,
what do you mean?
I mean, Luke's being chased by Reva, who's fighting Owen and Beru.
Right. And they're getting away.
Obi-Wan is fighting Vader. There's no stakes here to anything because nobody is dying.
Right.
Nobody.
Well, Reva could have.
But you knew she wasn't going to.
Why?
Right? Like, of all the I don't know. Because she's the new addition to the show.
Yeah, but I know they have a sequel, but the sequel could have been a prequel to this. Yeah. So that. But you're right. Everybody else, But
there's no stakes. And so
But I think that going into
plays
the show.
You do, and that's the whole thing. I think that plays into why we get let down a little bit by some of these things. Because
good point. Yeah.
Like, ultimately, what happens to these characters after this show. There's no, I mean, even the prequels to some extent were that way, right? Like,
of course,
Obi-Wan makes it, Anakin turns into Vader.
But you wanted to see how they did it. And that's why that's what makes it a different type of entertaining, right?
But, jumping to spoilers, we're all in spoilers. But I mean, jumping to the end of their confrontation, right? Like, he can't kill Vader, right? Like, that Vader can't die. But you're also like, why, once again, do you walk away and leave somebody alive that comes back to haunt you. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll tell you
if this was not, like, obviously when the characters are in these moments, they don't know what's coming. Like, they don't know their own future. So, like, every single drop of blood on Vader's hands is now on Obi-Wan's hands from the moment he walks away and leaves him alive. You know what I mean? Like, you're responsible for everything that this guy goes on to do, which is a lot. Well, you can, sure, but go ahead.
So, is it possible, and they talk about this in the prequels, where they be mindful of the future? So Jedis can see the future, but they don't know it's a certainty, but they have the ability to see the future. If he kills Vader, it changes everything that maybe he already knows is laid out, that Luke is the one that turns him. They defeat the Emperor for a time being, whereas it's uncertain. We don't know who the next Darth is going to be. What we do know is that this was supposed to be the chosen one. We don't know. Like, before him was Darth Maul or Darth City. You know what I mean? So we had different options. Maybe they know, like, don't kill him. Because as awful as this is, we need these things to play out. Because we don't know who the other Darth is. Because there's always going to be another one, right? So I understand what you're thinking, and but I also think that there's more at play here, and maybe Obi-Wan knows that.
No, because his ability to see the future didn't clue him into the fact that Anakin was still alive. Like, I don't think he saw all that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's the reason. I think it's just because
might not be.
He still has compassion. He still has compassion for Anakin. Although a huge miss in this episode for me too was when he says, "I guess my friend is truly dead." It's like, I guess my brother is truly dead. Like, that's the line, right? Like, you were my brother, Anakin. Like, that's the line. So to walk away and say, "I guess my friend is truly dead."
Yeah.
Like,
well, he had already said
that's a big
brother,
miss.
so yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big miss for me, because it's like, that should have been the line there, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've talked about all the other episodes already, anyways, with the exception of the finale. But I mean, the finale has some of the best images in Star Wars that I've ever seen. I've sent you the picture a couple times, but that picture of Obi-Wan, with his arms out and the boulders and all that stuff. It's like, fantastic imagery. Great lightsaber battle. I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely up there. It was awesome.
I want to say, it was awesome, but I want to say the one in, what was it, season 7 at the end?
Well, the Ahsoka Darth Maul lightsaber battle was awesome.
Those last two episodes that were like, if you watch them back to back, are like a full length movie, because I think they're both like 45 minutes long or something, or an hour long each episode. But they have unbelievable lightsaber battles in there.
I mean, even his battle in Rebels with Darth Maul was also very good.
Yep.
So, so there's a few, but this was definitely great. I loved seeing the use of more stuff, though, like the boulders and all that stuff, because that's the thing you don't typically see in a lot of lightsaber battle. I mean, you see it in Empire when Vader's throwing the stuff at Luke, but in most of these battles, they don't use their surroundings as much.
Right.
But in this episode, they definitely did. Again, which was mostly Vader initiating a lot of that, but yeah, I don't know. It had some great imagery in this, and it was a great episode. It was fantastic, but I couldn't help but just feel like there weren't a lot of stakes here. Because there were none, literally none.
We know. Yeah, we know. It's right. But I think, let me put it there were some stakes. It's all in how you look at it, John. Because you said last week, one of your complaints was when, I was the learner. Now I am the master. Mm-hmm. How did they do that? Well, that was one of the things at stake here, because they had kind of ruined that, where Vader kind of owned him earlier on. But then as it plays out, he still owns Vader.
Right.
So it's like, all of that was put back into play. Storylines was all put back into play. I loved the line where Anakin, or Hayden Christensen, through the mask says, "You didn't kill me. You didn't kill Anakin.
I'm not your failure.
I am not your failure. I kill." Now, that line is really interesting to me, because I think that line was about kind of setting up what Obi-Wan says to Luke in episode 4 in the movie, A New Hope, not episode 4 of the season, but episode where he says, he was killed by a young Jedi, Vader, right? Anakin was killed. So he uses that line. But I also think that's really interesting coming out of Vader with the cracked helmet.
Well, there's a ton of stuff in that scene, and I'm sure.
Why is he giving that to Obi-Wan, though?
Well, here's the thing.
He still has heart. He still has that in him for Obi-Wan.
So if you watch that scene, closely, and you watch things more closely than I do, but if you watch that scene, you can see when he's speaking as Anakin.
Yes.
That
the voice,
the lightsaber. Well, but he's blue, right? Like his face is covered in the glow of Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and he's blue. So he is, at that point, he's kind of sunk into Anakin, and he's like, I view it as like he's doing a kindness to Obi-Wan there. I know, he's letting him off the hook, right? He's saying, like, I wasn't your failure. But when he says, "You didn't kill him, I did," and they flash to Obi-Wan's face for a second, and then they flash back to Vader, and now he's all lit up in red. He's lit up with the reflection from his lightsaber. So that is like the change in his personality. Like, he's being reflected blue, right? Because he's kind of reverted into Anakin. But then he completely loses. Like, to me, that's the moment where Anakin dies until he comes back in Return of the Jedi or whatever. Like, now he is fully sunk into Vader, and I thought the imagery with the reflections of the lightsabers was pretty cool. And I can't take credit for that because I didn't notice it. Somebody else pointed it out, and then I went back and I watched it again. Right. But it's definitely there. Like, all the reflections, even on the Vader side, the reflection in his eye is blue. Everything's blue until he goes red, and that was pretty awesome. And again, obviously not done by accident at all. But yeah, like I said, that's him letting Obi-Wan off because he can see the pain in Obi-Wan's face.
Why? That's what I find interesting.
Because like I said, he had kind of let Anakin back, bubble up to the surface again a little bit, because he's seeing Obi-Wan, he's seeing the pain in Obi-Wan's face. Obi-Wan's apologizing to him for failing him and letting him do all this stuff. And I think that was his last act of, like I said, his last act of kindness towards Obi-Wan. And then that's it. Now it's Vader. Vader's back and he's yelling, "I will destroy you," and I'm going to, all this other stuff.
I'm wondering if he was. So I love all of that, by the way. And I'm not bringing this up. I had this ahead of time, but I'm not bringing this up to argue with you. Was he asking to be killed? End this. Obi-Wan, just end this. Because that was when he was defeated. Right. That's when Obi-Wan could have lopped his head off. Right,
exactly.
There.
He should have.
Right.
Well, and again,
that's when you get to that
he'll
point.
Do what he must, right? Like, he should have.
Right. So
he should have defeated.
It sounded like he was tempting Obi. Like, don't even feel bad. Like, Anakin was coming out of him to end this because Anakin was in so much pain. And that's what Anakin's entire life has been about, that dealing with that pain and that fear. Since, he was born into slavery, separated from his mother, everything, like you go back, even that little child, everything is about the pain and anguish. And then he meets Padme, and that has to be a secret. It's like everything's about pain and suffering and everything going on. And that's one of the reasons the Jedi Council didn't want him to be a Padawan, because a lot of fear and pain in you. So everything was about that. And here we have it. That last part was like Anakin saying, you didn't kill Anakin. I did. So finish Vader. Finish me off. And it was like, end this for me, end it for Anakin, end all of this. And that's why I get to the part, like, I think Obi-Wan knows there's a bigger picture. Maybe he doesn't know the future, but it's like, you were the chosen one. I can't end the chosen one because who knows how this will play out. And, so that's why I'm like, there's so much there. And just that one line, and it's like, some people, like I love that, the imagery, all of that. You can, just the pain and the suffering that he's going through. And And then, of course, Obi-Wan at the end goes into his own pain. He has to go into solitude and just,
I don't know. Like I said, I feel like again, now this is us forcing our interpretations onto just
that's
a forced story.
But that's
point.
what is art is about.
But what I'm saying is, like,
nothing wrong
it's
with
it's a forced story issue. Like it's not a plot hole, but it's like it's forced because he can't die. Well, they're forced into a corner because they can't kill Vader. So it's left to us to interpret his motivations for walking away.
Fun, though? Isn't that creative? Normally we get a book or a story and you get it complete. But here we have something that was made over 40 years. Over 40 years. Not just, And they're plugging things into the middle because we want this. And that's part of that creative process, that instead of getting mad at it, you have to appreciate it and how difficult it is to keep it interesting, but yet still be able to pull stuff out and pull out interesting threads that you didn't even know were there. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that you and I already talked about, like, is Obi-Wan the most powerful one we know of? That's a conversation.
Right.
Well,
I say after this, he absolutely is.
Huh?
Right? Like, he has to be.
He's defeated
ultimately,
Vader.
If you think about it, well, he killed Darth Maul. Twice. Right? He killed him and then killed him again. He defeated Vader twice. And actually, you could argue that he defeated Vader all 3 times, because you could argue that his sacrifice at the end of A New Hope was also, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he also defeated Vader there too.
Yeah, the one time he lost to Vader, he gave himself up because he knows Force ghosting, which we didn't know at the time. But obviously he does, boom, right away. I saw this on Twitter as well, and it is super, damn, is it powerful. And what to me makes it so powerful is that we've been looking at it for almost 50 years. That image of him looking at what we thought was Luke, but now he's looking at the brother and sister, and then he dies.
Reunited. I saw that too. Yeah, I saw that on Facebook or Twitter.
Never. And we've known their brother and sister our whole lives. Well,
right, but you're seeing him. He's seeing them being reunited being united really for the first time since birth.
Well, since birth,
right?
Since they were twins. So they were reunited. Right. But meeting each other, not even knowing who each other are, but he knows, looking over at them and giving himself up to Vader, it's going to drive them individually. And just that, it's like, you just look at that scene so much different now.
Do you think in A New Hope, where they're watching the message, Obi-Wan should have given him a little heads up and said, hey man, look, I know she's a good looking girl and all, but mind your manners. Because
don't kiss her.
Don't kiss her. You think he maybe should have given him a heads up there?
That was a family show back in the 70s.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
No.
They even kind of addressed my last little quibble that I had last week with the message from Leia.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
Because
I looked right at Joe and went, yes.
Because he basically says, make sure nobody knows because we could both be in danger or whatever.
Right.
Like that. So
and
I was like, they addressed
so
it
hard.
But again, that could be just me
about that.
putting my own. That's just me putting my own rationale on that line. But
no, I think that's exactly what it was for.
That's how they address it.
I think that's. So. But you know what I think is really interesting is all of the. You weren't the only one. There were a lot of people talking about these things, right?
Right.
And what I think is really interesting is that they knew by doing what they did earlier on in the season, it would spark those conversations. You and I had them here week in, week out. And every time I'm like, I trust, in Filoni, I trust, because that they know better than we do some of this stuff. And part of them has got to be, what it's like in art. We want to screw with people and put little things in there and hide them that you can't. Oh, Mr. McPhee didn't see that, or whatever. But they're putting this stuff out there, creating the conversation. And doesn't it feel like by the end, you're like, not that they did this, but they're like, oh, they just put that in because everybody was complaining. This was filmed a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was written a lot. So they knew the plot lines that they were going with that people, they're going to get upset here. Like, what about the message? And then at the end, we're like, we're going to wrap it all up in a bow here. And everybody's going to go, just like you said, like you're like, oh, there it is. That's what I said last week. I'm like, oh, maybe it's, you can't just send the message out and tell them everything because who knows if it falls into the wrong hands. And that's what they said. So I forgot about that scene until you just said it. Yeah. But yeah,
I still don't understand.
I love that.
Again, they still didn't address in any way why she doesn't grieve his death.
Yeah,
when he's killed on the Death Star.
Oh, actually, she does. Go back and see A New Hope. Go back and watch A New Hope. And when they finally get back to not Alderaan, I mean, everybody was killed in Alderaan, right? She didn't really grieve about that, and that was her parents.
Right.
And what did she say when they got back to the rebel base? There'll be time for grieving later. We've got to get this done. She's all business. And that kind of plays into her little girl character, the 10-year-old character, who's way beyond her years at 10 years old. Right. So imagine how mature and how businesslike she is at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Right? So that line kind of is in there. She's like, there'll be time. What did she say? Time for our sorrows later or something like that?
There'll be time. Yeah, something.
It's something
we'll
like
have time
that.
For our sorrows later, General, or something.
Right. Exactly. Right. And it's just when they land and they're like, when we heard about Alderaan, we feared the worst. A whole planet had exploded. How upset is she going to get about Obi-Wan?
Well, but
they already knew that.
The planet explodes, but then she goes back to her cell. So we don't know if she grieved. Like, for all we know, she
could have cried about that. Yeah. But
right. She stayed strong in front of Tarkin and then went back to her room and cried. We don't know because we didn't see that.
But what I mean is, when you see Obi-Wan die, she's like, okay, there goes another one. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, she was literally, the only reason Luke knew it happened is Obi-Wan felt it, right? Nobody else saw it. She literally witnessed it. And she was fine. Not fine, but you know what I mean? Like, she was upset. But so you can kind of see, like, how that plays out. And then she does say that line later, like, we got a lot to get to here. Like, she's escaping the Death Star. What is she going to break down and cry right there on the platform because Obi-Wan just got killed?
Right.
So I love you asking these questions. I think that's why they put these things in there so that we can have these conversations because I think it's fun. It's like, doesn't mean what I'm saying is right or what you're saying is right or wrong or whatever. But that's what's so great about this. And that's what makes having this show, or not this show, but Obi-Wan, like, it's so difficult to throw a story in between two other stories.
Well, it is.
I think they're doing a great job.
We've talked about that before, too. That's, when you're writing middle chapters of a story that
of
already has a beginning and an
characters.
ending, it's tough because you can only be a slave to continuity so much and then still tell good stories. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make things interesting and tell good stories. And, like I said, a lot of this stuff again, it provided a lot of conversation, and it was stuff that I noticed. But again, even if they hadn't addressed any of those things, it didn't affect my enjoyment of the show.
No.
Because at the end of the day, I was fine with them creating plot holes or inconsistencies or whatever, as long as they told a good story. That's like, because going forward, if they're going to do more things like this, they're ultimately going to create things that, are going to come up in the name of telling a good story. And I'm okay with that because, again, at the end of the day, a line or two that seems to not make sense anymore is a small price to pay to get another good 6-hour movie or story,
Right.
I'd rather have that. I'd rather have Obi-Wan to enjoy than say, oh, well, we can't make this show because of these story points that don't make sense anymore,
Yeah.
So, but I'm still going to point them out. Like, I'm always going to notice things and point them out, and hopefully they address them all.
Wouldn't be you if
sometimes
you
they
didn't.
won't. You're right. I wouldn't. And again, I will say that I was getting a little antsy towards the end, and we hadn't seen Qui-Gon yet. I'm like, they better not end this show with, I was like, because it really could have ended on
Before
Alderaan.
That.
Right. And then it's like, okay, we get this little epilogue on Tatooine, but it really could have ended there too. And I'm like, they better not end this show.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as he started approaching the dunes or whatever.
Right.
I knew then that we were going to see him, but I was getting a little antsy towards the end of the show because I'm like, if they don't show Qui-Gon here, that's a big fail because he's called his name in every episode of this series. Plus, we know that he has to learn this. Like, he has to learn from him.
Yeah.
So, it went from something we were guaranteed we were going to see on episode 1 to, man, they might not show this, and I'm going to be pretty upset if they don't.
Yeah.
But
I'd kind of, the way that episode went, though, I'd kind of forgotten. And then when he showed up, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. We haven't seen him yet. Couple of things you mentioned there, where he's heading off into the hills, right? He's heading off past the sand dunes and going to live in solitude in his house instead of the caves, right? He ends up and it's funny when he was walking off, Joe's like, "Where's he headed?" I go, to the place that he has
to build his house.
New Hope.
To build
his house,
little compound.
He's like, "Oh, I thought he was in a cave." I'm like, "No, it kind of looks like a cave, but it's like he has a house on top of a hill, actually, like a little hut type, stucco type building."
Yeah. Like an igloo, really.
Yeah. What did you think? I think a lot like those shots of Alderaan stuff. It's that also pulls at you because when we saw A New Hope,
does a little bit, yeah, because it was a nameless.
It's a nameless.
Well, not nameless, but it was kind of a faceless planet, right? Like,
yeah, you didn't know what it was.
You're
about
it.
Okay, and now you know.
Yeah, and then you start seeing it.
You start seeing. Okay. Is that the first we saw of it? Like in that context,
I believe in this show. I don't think we ever saw it in Clone Wars that I can remember.
I don't remember.
Maybe we did.
There's so much content there. But yeah, just seeing seeing where she grew up. Obviously, she grew up there, and season 2. There's rumors of it. Have you heard any?
There's rumors.
Confirmation.
Well, I don't think there's rumors of there being a season 2 as much as there's just them saying they would be down to do more. Every time they're asked. Well, nobody. I don't know if anybody's saying no, but like Ewan and Hayden have both said they'd be interested in continuing on, but there's no plans in place that I know of a season 2. And then, like I was talking about this with my son too the other day because he really got into this show, and if there is a season 2, like I really think they need to leave Vader behind. Like I don't think Vader should be part of it because like it's okay for them to have met again in this show prior to the Death Star, but like it doesn't make sense for them to meet again. Like are they going to meet again and have another battle and Obi-Wan's going to beat him again?
Right.
Like their story should be finished. He could be part of the show in a separate corner of the galaxy or whatever. But I don't think that Vader and Obi-Wan should meet again. Like
so,
I would definitely
what about
don't
this scenario?
Want to see that.
No, I know. I had this scenario, and then I was listening to Dork, and it actually would slide in exactly with what they were thinking. Is they were thinking like, how do we age Obi-Wan? Because only 8 years from now, he's going to look like Alec Guinness. Right?
Exactly.
That's what they were talking about. And you do think that, and you're like, well, you give him a gray beard. You know, those last few years, you age kind of quickly. But they were mentioning, like, maybe he gets, like, force lightninged, and it ages him a little bit, because, you know, that can do that stuff.
Well, yeah, but there's also Beru and Owen.
Yep.
Who age the same, you know?
8 years.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is, what if he goes literally head-to-head with the Emperor?
Yeah.
And loses, you know, and has to skimper away and does get aged that way. And that's what I thought was great listening to them. I was like, yes, that would be it. Like, I wasn't thinking that. I was already thinking like, because I thought he was so powerful. The only one he hasn't been up against yet is the Emperor. And I had mentioned to you the other day, I'm like, Rey is pretty powerful because she beat the Emperor, but it took two people, her and Ben,
her
to
and
do
Kylo.
it.
Right. Yeah. Ben.
And so how cool would that be if he actually did go face to face with the Emperor? And I don't know how they would write that, like how he would end up there, but maybe the Emperor is protecting Vader. I don't know. You know, like you could write that story. Like that's why they don't cross paths again. Right. And so yeah, it's I would love to see a season 2.
I would love to see.
I would love to see.
Well, and I would love to see more Hayden or more Vader too. Just not necessarily crossing paths with Obi-Wan again.
Right.
You know, like
but
I just
you
don't
got an
think that
Ahsoka
should
show
happen.
coming up.
Exactly. That's the whole
get
thing.
Him
like,
there.
He could still show up in other places.
Oh, yeah, you could. And what's his name? The show.
Because the Ahsoka show takes place after he's dead. So
does?
Yeah, because it's
okay.
taking place the same time as The Mandalorian, which is after Return of the Jedi. So
okay.
He would be dead. He would be dead
tough.
there. So I don't know if that would work. Yeah.
Unless you force ghosted him.
But he could show up in Andor. Andor is a prequel.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, Andor, you could show up because, Ahsoka could show up in that as well.
Well, she could, right? Because she could go back to that.
But that's
show.
why I think he could show up in Ahsoka's in a flashback sequence, or
maybe a flashback,
something like that.
But at the time of that show, he's already dead. But yeah, there's definitely potential for flashback. But again, I feel like they left their, like the end of Rebels was the perfect conclusion to the Anakin Ahsoka storyline. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they need to meet again because they left already in a good. They didn't leave in a good place as far as each other's concerned.
It's a mutual
but story wise, they left it in a good place. So there's no reason for them to interact again. But he could definitely show up in the Andor show because that's a point in time where they're, the Death Star's under construction and all that other stuff is happening, and Vader could be there overseeing the construction of the Death Star or what have you.
Right.
But like I said, they're both. Ewan said he's down to do more. Even the director said, she wants a break. She said, but she's down to do more. It really just depends on Kathleen Kennedy and whether they feel like there's demand for more of it. There's always going to be demand for more Obi-Wan. I think that's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
But same thing, just like Doctor Strange, there's a ton of people complaining about this show too.
That's what I said.
Just like there's a ton of people. There's a ton of people complaining about everything Disney Star Wars. There's just a bunch of people. Like, Star Wars fans are the worst fans on the planet anyways. Like, they're never happy. Never happy.
I think they're just passionate, and it just comes out. Like, there's a lot. Which would you rather have? A crap load of fans that aren't happy, or no fans? Like, nothing. Yeah. You want the crap. You want people getting angry. That drives it. That drives business. That drives people to go see it again. You're not angry if you're not engaging, right?
Well, right, because they're still watching it, and ultimately that's all Disney cares about.
Exactly, that's my point. So like, yeah. I mean, take something that nobody's watching. Oh well, nobody's angry about it. Yeah, but nobody's happy, nobody's angry, nobody's watching. But then you have people that are loving Obi-Wan, and then you have people that aren't they're like, that was awful. I wanted some. Like I said, that's one of the. I listened to Dork. Not the only reason I listened to them, but it was great getting a dissenting opinion. So, right. I mean, you want that. You want people talking. But
they're super toxic. Like, Star Wars fans are super toxic. Look at Kelly Marie Tran getting,
who's that?
What's her name? From the sequels. Oh,
yeah. But
Rose.
Yeah, Rose. But we get that in a lot of
things. Getting bullied off of social media. Even Rey got bullied off of social media, because of the fan backlash to them.
That's not most of the fans, though. Those are a bunch of dinks.
Well, it's enough, but it's enough of them that, it gets them.
But that just shows you the popularity. It's still under 1% of the fandom. It's just when you have that many fans, that 1% is a larger number. That's all. Yeah. I don't think most fans are like that. You and I aren't like that. And there's 100% of us sitting right here that are fine.
Right. I'm just saying, overall, from most fandoms, the Star Wars fans are generally the worst. You don't see as much talk. I mean, you're starting to see it creeping into Marvel a lot too now, though.
Because they're getting bigger.
There's a lot of people that are getting, that don't like anything that's happened since Endgame. They don't like,
expectations, with female John, characters. It's always about expectations.
Well, but, there's just a bunch of people that, like I said, it's starting to creep into Marvel too, but I think Star Wars has been the worst overall.
Well, you just listed the two biggest entities there are in pretty much show business. Can you think of another fandom that's bigger? I don't think so.
Not necessarily bigger, but I mean, you've got Star Trek, you've got Doctor Who, you've got Bond. Like, you've got some pretty big fan bases for some of those things too, but I don't think they rival Star Wars or Marvel.
No,
but
that's what I mean. So, but even in Doctor Who, there was backlash when they had a female. There was backlash. Right. There was backlash in Bond when they were going to cast a female Bond or a black Bond, or there was backlash for all of that. But my point is that with great power, John, comes comes higher percentage. So you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's the same percentage of people, which is like I said, most of the planet are great people. It's that 1% that's just like, they're just dinks, and they're, like you said, like keyboard warriors. They think they're safe back there, and it's like, which they are, but they do that crappy stuff. But when you have such high numbers like Star Wars is, that 1% is a lot of people. And that's, it's still just 1% of the population, because that's one of the things I don't like is when people say, like, Star Wars fans. Well, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not the worst. Yeah. We're not the worst, John. But we get lumped in with the 1%. And I don't think that's that's fair. So.
Well, but I mean, you can say that with anything too.
Exactly.
Anything in the world, there's, hell, we said it last week about, having redeeming qualities. I'm not gonna bring that guy up again, but yeah, you take the good with the bad, but unfortunately, you do get lumped in with the
right.
You do get lumped in with the negativity, but
that's why we founded the bright side, John. That's why we're here. Bringing the positivity. Just like Beware the Eye of Odin, #1. Look at the bright side. See? Even they said it. Look at the bright side. So, on that note, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right. That's it. we're out of here. We'll be back at some point next month with our, we'll just call it the Zdarsky edition.
Yeah.
So not only will you be getting Zdarsky on Batman and Daredevil, but you'll be getting Zdarsky on Brightside Chat.
That's
But
right.
actually, Zdarsky's been on TLDR, so in the meantime, go check them out. How about that for a segue? Like that?
Nice.